Today, I want to talk about chicken wings and drumsticks. So one of our favorite things at home to make are wings and drumsticks. Now, we use pasture-raised chickens. No drugs or antibiotics, nothing added to it. We can order it from like different companies. And Dutch Meadows is one we use. Rep Provisions is another one we use. Pasture chickens. So you go online, you can just order, and they'll send them right to your home. And we always use an air fryer. Air fryer is easy, simple, and it makes great chicken wings and drumsticks, right? So something that we grew up on is drumsticks and chicken wings. My mother used to make them at home. Now, you don't need to cover them with sauces that have any types of seed oils or sweeteners to it. Salt and pepper is great. You can use salt and pepper, some garlic, if you prefer, thyme, oregano, and different herbs, pepper or anything like that. That works great too. But we always really enjoy sitting down to dinner, especially on weekends where we have chicken wings or drumsticks. It's really high in protein, really good fat. When things are pasture raised, the fatty acid combinations are fantastic. And fatty acids are really, really important for your body, especially when you go into ketosis. It produces a anti-inflammatory result in your body. So think about it. And so we've done chicken and broccoli and a bowl of chili. And today we're going to focus on drumsticks and chicken wings. And if you get off this podcast and you have a hankering for something to eat, you can make that. Well, let's go back to My Pods podcast. My POTS podcast. I have trouble saying that because of my stroke. My tongue on my left side doesn't work as well as it should. My lips don't work as well either. So pardon my pronunciation. But you have to deal with it. So, I deal with it every day, so you're going to have to deal with it too. So brain injury brings a lot of change in performance. So speaking is performance also. And your body is made for performance, okay? So just what is performance? So if you have POTS or dysautonomia, then your autonomic or automatic systems in your body aren't working right. And they've been injured by life. And it could be traumatically, physically induced. It could be a pathogen that's affected your body, like Lyme's and COVID are the two big ones we get many, many calls about. And then it could be toxins that are affecting you. So they're the major things that affect the system. The other thing is that your brain is your master control system, but yet we also have sub-controls throughout the body that make things work locally in all types of tissues throughout the body. And it's a massive, successive control system that's always operating, whether you're sleeping or whether you're awake. And it produces chemicals. It's not just nerves. There's chemical systems that are operating in the body that are control systems. And so they all have to be coordinated. So we know that exercise and activity will help to get those control systems working their best. Okay. So, but in performance, we want to measure performance about precision. So if you're going to control systems, so say I have a patient comes in and they're vibrating, or they have a tremor in their hands. And I'm saying this to you, and I want you to take it in. Most people, young and old, and in the middle, have tremors when their nervous system stops functioning properly. So tremor is a movement disorder. That means the movement controls, whether it be physically in the arm, the neck, the spine, the midbrain, the subcortex, and the cortex, all have faults. And if you've had tremors for a long time, then you know that it's been happening for a while, and your body is patterned with a weakness or a sickness or an illness that's within your system that's affected you. So we have performance. How do we perform in response to our environment? And to work, to exercise, to relationships, to cognitive activity. And cognitive activity can be activity that we have even with physical activity, like as a chiropractor. As a chiropractor, when we adjust the spine, then we have to use our mind to feel properly, to thrust the right way, to use an instrument the proper way, to feel what's going on in the body and the muscles and so forth. So it takes a lot of not only physical aspects, but a lot of cognitive aspects to respond to a patient or the environment properly. And sometimes we stand a lot. We can do it sitting, or what we can do. I remember when I was in chiropractic college, there's the Logan technique, and you place in your hip, you use levers on ligaments, and on those ligaments, then you can feel different areas of the spine that will clear up when you change the health and balance of the sacrum and the bottom of the spine. It takes a lot of feeling to do that. And I remember Dr. Logan came in to New York Chiropractic College and gave a presentation. And he was up on the stage, older at the time. I believe he was in his 80s. I'm not sure. I believe that he was in his 80s. And he started doing the Logan technique. And we had actually 2 semesters of Logan technique in college. And he was just sitting there operating and doing the spine. It was like he was playing a piano. The guy was expert at it. And he was older. And so he just got into a mode where he could focus and he could do his work. And it was kind of a beautiful presentation at the time. And my kudos to Dr. Logan, amazing doctor. I'm glad I got to meet him. To know that the development of chiropractic was built on the minds of some brilliant people. And Dr. Logan was one of the best and most brilliant of those people. So we're talking about performance, right? So everything that we do can be measured as our ability to perform on that level. So in our office, in our model, we look at precision. So we want precision control. So instead of having tremors, right, we can just have precise, flat, even movement, okay? And so if you are imprecise, that means those control systems aren't working properly. So that we do, around precision, we do testing. And that tests are, we do balance tests with the eyes open, eyes closed, our head in different directions. We do eye movement tests, which are really, really important. So when we look at our eye movements, we take 250 images a second. So it's really, really important to be very precise about looking at eye movement. I know you can do it with a bedside exam. Well, look at my finger, follow it. But now that we have this technology, then it really gives us the ability to measure things, and measuring and having the ability to measure is really, really important for developing proper rehab strategies around the brain and the body. Okay? Everybody following me there? I'm sure you are. Then we do vital scan. And the vital scan is a way of looking at our blood pressure, our breathing, and our heart rate. So we take blood pressure on the legs, we do pulse ox or pulse and oxygen on the toes, both toes. Then one side we do the blood pressure on the arm and on the finger, okay? At the same time we're doing an EKG. So we're getting really, really important information for your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your response not only in the upper extremity but in the lower extremity also. Now most people do tilt tests. We do not do tilt tests. You don't have to do a tilt test to get the same information that we're getting from the vital scans. The other scan that we can do with the same system is called pseudomotor. Pseudomotor. So with peripheral neuropathy, people that have loss of nerve function into their fingers and toes or upper and lower extremity, they get numbness and tingling, or they get numbness, they get pain going into your hands and your legs. When that happens, we can actually measure, it's called a pseudomotor test. We can actually measure the response of the nerves to an electrical stimulus into a very light electrical stimulus into your hands and feet, and really get great numbers for it. Then we have what's called Q-athlete. Q-athlete is very, very important for us to understand your aerobic capacity and your anaerobic capacity. One is for oxygen, the other one is without oxygen, okay? Aerobic versus anaerobic capacities. So we're measuring performance in the body in many different ways. The final step that we do 2 different QEEGs. Now, why 2? All right, I'll tell you. Since you're a very insistent crowd, you really need to know the answers. One is by BrainCore. It's a 19-point amplitude system. So we put 19 points on the head, and we're measuring different parts in communication with different other areas of the brain and in communication. And we get very specific data on what's going on with the brain as far as its activity and communication with delta, theta, alpha, beta, and high beta waves throughout that system. And then we can do neurofeedback to really change that. Now, why do we do that? Because we get specificity. We get a lot of information about the communication of the brain, which is very, very important for us. And because I'm an engineer, and I was an engineer in the days where we were using computers or making our own computers to simulate process controls. So I'm an expert in controls. I always have been, and it's probably been what led me into doing this work with the brain and the body, because the brain and the body is a massive control system, and learning how to control it and change it is really important to our work. Now, the second part that we have with the QEEG is we have what's called a brain master system. They do a mathematical system. We still have 19 points we're measuring on the skull, and it will give us the communication 6,200 points deep. We're getting a lot of information about specific functions of your brain and your nervous system, your central nervous system. And that can give us information all the way down, not just cortically, but subcortically. Now, they are coming out with an increased system that can give us information from the cortex, the subcortex, and the brain stem and cerebellum. Amazing the work now that we have these computers that can do a lot of work for us in assessing neurological function that deep and efficiently. We can also do cognitive testing. So right now we use Krios. Krios is a cognitive test we can use that gives us information on how you use information to process and solve simple problems. And then the last part is that we want to look at your metabolic system. And the way we do that is we do food sensitivities for digestion. We do, the second would be mold. Has been really, really extensive in our areas. And then toxins, look at toxins. And then the other is we do the Dutch test. The Dutch test gives us information on our cortisols, our circadian rhythm, the body during the day and through the night into the morning. So we want all that information so that we know how your body is functioning. Okay. So when we get the information and we're saying you got this weakness, this weakness, right? We know that your body is not functioning with precision. And that's what it was made to do. Your body was made to function with precision so that you can control the things in your body to a way in which you can function throughout the day. Function at night, have a good night's sleep, regenerate, and so forth. So precision is really important to us, and when you rehabilitate, you want to get as much precision back as possible. So precision. Well, how long can you sustain that? Sometimes people can sustain precision for an hour, and then they're done. The fatigue sets in, and they can't do any more. So with a system that is fatigued too easily, it doesn't have any stamina. All right. So with stamina, it's the ability to sustain prolonged physical and mental effort. Okay. So physical and mental effort. So when we look at a person, we want to look at them mentally, emotionally, because we have emotional controls within our brain, and our body biochemical system operates through those emotional controls too. And then we have physical controls. And they should be all in sync. They should operate together. And so we want to get more stamina with the patient so that when they are operating with precision, that they can maintain that and do it over the day. And then can they do over months or over years, right? Maintain that. And we can retain that for that long. That's called endurance. So, you can train, like, you can train your system, your stamina, but can you do a marathon, right? So can you do like a 5K, or can you do a 10K? Or can you 15K, or can you do a 26.2 mile race, like a marathon race? So we all train to a certain level. Sometimes we don't train as athletes to be able to do that type of work, but a lot of people do, or a lot of people take on those challenges to do that. So we want to look at precision, stamina, and endurance. Okay. And we have a lot of people that come in with post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a negative plasticity of your system due to the effects of stress, where you don't have resiliency to stress. You're not as tough as you used to be. You don't bounce back the way you did. And so you have to reassess those areas. Now, our bodies are plastic. From the time we're born to the time we leave, our bodies are plastic. How do we respond to our environment and stress? So there's positive plasticity or positive strengthening, and then there's negative plasticity, or our bodies being hurt, injured, or damaged to different things that happen in our life, whether it be a pathogen, a toxin, heavy physical activity, overactivity as far as mental stress, where we're trying to work too much, use our mental powers that exhaust them over and over and over again. That can create a loss of cognitive function, or emotional traumas that we get from being called the wrong thing every day, by being put down, yelled at, screamed at. I think we all have a lot of emotional traumas throughout our lifetime that affects us, unfortunately, in many, many different ways. So our bodies have a burden to live within your environment. So we want to have more positive plasticity or strengthening of our system than we do negative plasticity or weakness in our system. And there's many roads to get there, but we feel, and we've seen with our patient population, that if we test comprehensively, if we rehab comprehensively, that we can take systems that have been weakened over time and traumatized either mentally, emotionally, or physically, and regain strength and resilience and have a really great life impact with our patients. And so it takes a mindset. Now, we all talk about frontal cortex and the frontal cortex power to make a decision. It's our executive functioning area. So mindset is developed every day. And so I am going to tell you that you can meditate, you can do all kinds of things, but for me, my relationship with God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit and the Blessed Mother and Saint Joseph, her spouse, and all the angels and saints is an important part of maintaining my mindset. So prayer, daily reading the Bible, is very, very important for my mindset. So I'm going to ask you that if you're dealing with performance issues, precision, stamina, and endurance, and you need help, then I would click on the link above. And when you click on that link, you'll be brought to a page in which you can schedule with us a consult call, so that we can start hearing your story of where you're at in your health, and then we can offer solutions, possible solutions for you to get back your precision, your stamina, and your endurance, and then have a more healthy overall experience on a day-to-day basis. The other thing is that I like to introduce to you Engage Global. Engage Global is a product that we use, a nutritional product or products that we use that were developed by Kedar Prasad, probably one of the most well-researched, well-trained 90-year-old nutritional company that I've seen. Now the company's not 90-year-old. Dr. Prasad is 90-year-old, but he doesn't look 90-year-old. He keeps producing some really great products and research. So we will recommend Micro Daily to you. Micro Daily, they have an energy product, they have a heart product. Every one of their products are top-notch and top class. So click on the link above if you'd like to look at Engage Global, and you can order it from our site, and you'll find that it'll be a great addition as a supplement to all the other great healthy things that you do with diet, exercise, and your mental health. So thank you for listening to me today. We have got great things coming. So our next podcast will be on our new unit coming here in March, Spryson, USA. It's a very high-tech system, a chair with goggles at the same time. We have the ability to diagnose some degenerative diseases in the brain, and the ability to work with traumatic brain injury much more intensely and successfully than we have in the past. So look for the next podcast that will be coming out in about 2 weeks that will describe for you so that you can understand that we're bringing to you the best systems in the world to rehabilitate your brain and rehabilitate my brain. All right? God bless you. Have a great day.